1732 O Street, and ostreetcarpet.com.
Beat the heat and save on a new cooling system from John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Combine new system rebates and LES incentives to save up to $2,500. Don't wait until your old system breaks down in the middle of summer. Take advantage of these great offers and beat the heat. Go to jhlincoln.com or give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Are you dragging through each day? Most people are dehydrated or deficient in essential vitamins, minerals, and more. Live Hydration Spa helps you get more out of your life with their IV hydration treatments to help with anti-aging, weight loss, endurance, and more. Their performance packages can help you feel better doing your normal daily routine with boosts of energy and vitality, an increase in immunity, and quicker athletic recovery. Call today for an appointment at 402-413-2042 or walk in at 71st and Pioneers. Live Hydration Spa.
For today's Husker Radio Report, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com. There's no question Eric Chenander's crew is going to see their toughest challenge of the season against Oklahoma, as Chenander gave some early thoughts on the Sooners.
It's a really good offense across the board. You know, they got a lot of experience, and then the new guys they have are really good football players. A lot of returning starters and or transfers. Really good quarterback that can run the ball. He can make all the throws. Running back, they got one guy that'll put his foot in the ground and try to run you over, and another guy that'll bounce it all around. Speed on the perimeter, and an experienced offensive line. So it's going to be a very good test for the defense. It's going to be a fun game.
The speed of this Sooner offense will no doubt be a test for Travis Fisher's secondary.
I mean, speed is speed, and they're a great football team. I think those receivers and those skill players are fast, but I also think we're fast. I think we got guys in the secondary, and we got guys on our defense that's fast as well. I mean, I think it is what it is with that.
Reporting here with the Nebraska football team in Lincoln, I'm Sean Callahan of HuskerOnline.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. 93.7 The Ticket sports news go now.
I'm Enrique Alvarez-Clary. Nebraska volleyball fell in 4 sets to number 16 Stanford last night, losing the first set 25-19 before coming back and winning the second 25-12, and then falling in the next two 25-21 and 25-23. Kayla Caffey paced the Huskers with 12 kills and 7 blocks, while Nicklin Hames recorded her 6th straight double-double. Next up for Nebraska, number 5 Louisville comes to Lincoln on Saturday. The game will be televised on BTN, and first serve is set for 7 p.m. Nebraska Wrestling announced their schedule today, one that includes 8 of the top 25 teams from last year's NCAA championships. The Huskers will also host the Big Ten Championships inside Pinnacle Bank Arena March 17th through the 19th. Their season opens November 11th with the Nebraska Duels against Nebraska Kearney and Shadrack State. The Husker football team continues to prepare for their matchup with the number 3 Oklahoma Sooners down in Norman. Defensive coordinator Eric Chenander said yesterday that he would like the defense to be put out on the field first to, quote, set the tone of this football game, end quote. Nebraska's defense hasn't given up 400 yards or more to an opponent in their last 7 contests, but will be tested by a Sooner offense that averages 527 yards per game this season. Kickoff from Norman is at 11 a.m. and will be broadcast on Fox. And for all the latest sports news and updates, keep it tuned right here to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, maybe I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez-Clary.
C is for chunk.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. This is the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainer, Enrique Alvarez-Clary with you. Hello, Rico.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I am fantabulous.
That's good.
How are you?
I'm
in
not
this
too bad
ice
either.
chest we call a studio.
It is freezing in here. I had to button. Well, okay, so we had to deal
You
with
had to
my
put
polo.
the 2 buttons up.
We had to put the 2 buttons up on my polo because I am freezing.
My man Nick thinks he's fancy with his polo, with his Huskers polo. Look at you. Do you have to do something after this?
I had to do something before this.
Oh, before. You had to give a tour or something?
I did not have. We had headshots taken today.
Oh, I swear you've had about 12 headshots taken in the last 2 months.
Well, some of them are for the website. Some of them are for other things. Yeah, these were
You're
just
a very popular man.
personal headshots, I guess. So, happy Wednesday, as always. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Both those are open for you all show long, as well as on the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We have a packed show. We have a packed couple days for you guys. We'll start talking about some Husker volleyball a little bit. I don't want to get too deep into that before we talk to Erin Sorensen of Hale Varsity at 2:30. She'll join us at 2:30, as she will every Wednesday.
Yes.
So that's very exciting.
Our first reoccurring guest.
Yes, so that's very
no big
exciting.
deal. She's kind of important.
We'll talk about the state of the rivalry, because now we're getting to that point where not necessarily on Monday and Tuesday, people were thinking more about the game, like just Saturday's game in general.
Mm-hmm.
However, now that we're getting closer and closer to it, you see articles from some national sites go out talking about just the rivalry of Nebraska versus Oklahoma. And I think I have a place to say I can give a different opinion than a lot of people, just since I'm a college student that was not necessarily alive or cognizant of what was going on while it was in the heart of the rivalry. And so that's where I want your guys' thoughts as well. Once again, 402-464-5685, because I want to get into this a little bit, and we have plenty of time here in the first segment of what's the state of this rivalry, and how many of the people are going. That's another thing, is I want to know how many people are going down to Norman. Some of the older folks.
I know you've said that, you've talked to students, and a lot of students are going. I know Schaefer said after the Illinois game, a lot of his friends canceled their hotel reservations. A lot of people selling their tickets and everything. So
yeah,
it's hard, because after the first week, people were like, oh, well, this season sucks. I don't want to go down to Oklahoma and watch Nebraska get boat raced. But then the confidence has grown, despite people saying they would take nothing away from these last two games. The confidence has grown in this football team that, hey, you know what? Maybe they can go down to Oklahoma and shock the world, or at least, keep it close, and we can experience ourselves a good football game.
Well, and there's another sense of a reason to go down there. When, 3 weeks ago after Illinois or whatever, it was, oh yeah, I'm not going to worry about Oklahoma. I'd rather just stay at home, watch it on TV. But now that we're in the week before and we're 3 or 4 days away from it, you're like, man, maybe I do want to make the trip. Maybe I'm glad that I am making the trip. Maybe I should have
got those tickets.
Exactly. And tickets are down to $77. I saw. I was just looking yesterday.
Granted, it is another Power 5 opponent, but that is a stark change from the first home game when they were selling for $9.
Yeah, and however, these tickets were up towards $200, $300 a pop, a couple months ago. But $77. It was like the 200 level. Row 1, seat 4 was $77 this morning when I looked. And so, like, there's a chance if you want to go, and if people are canceling their hotel rooms, which I'm not surprised that they did, and frankly, after the Illinois game, you can't really blame them. Then maybe you think about taking a trip down there. And
you ever been to Norman?
I've been through Norman.
I have stopped in Norman for a day. We were going down somewhere in Oklahoma to camp out, and we stopped in Norman, went to the university, and kind of walked around. It's a beautiful campus. We couldn't get like into the stadium. Like, I wanted to like walk around the stadium, but we couldn't get in, unfortunately. But I saw it from the outside. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to go down there. I'm excited to see what it's like, and maybe meet the people, meet some Oklahoma fans. I'm not sure.
Meet the great people of the great state of Oklahoma.
I'm ready to see if I can find some Nebraska people and tailgate with them and have some fun, and because that's what I've never been to, a true Nebraska football road game. And so this is
I've never been to a road game.
I'm very excited to go down there on Friday afternoon and Saturday and stuff. Plus Fox Big Noon Kickoff is going to be there.
Are you going to try to go to that?
I think so. I'm hoping that experience is better than my college game day experience.
Try and get front row and yell at Bob Stoops.
Bob Stoops' name has come up quite a bit this week.
Bob Stoops is not going to go to USC. I can almost guarantee you Bob Stoops does not go to USC.
I don't think so. I don't think USC. If he was younger, if he was about 20 or 30 years younger, you might think about it.
Maybe, but not like if Bob Stoops' name is coming up for any coaching hires, I don't think that's going to happen. Like, the dude The dude stopped coaching football in like his prime because his dad had died coaching football. Like he died from like the stress and everything. And he's like, I don't want that to happen to me.
Mark's still coaching though.
Yep.
People do like Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Wandale likes Mark Stoops at Kentucky. Let's go ahead and dive into that USC thing real quick.
You want to hit on that?
Let's touch on.
You want to hit on the fact that you might have been right?
No, I was not going to say that. But is James Franklin really about to leave Penn State? Like, it seems like that's the most.
I mean, you keep stepping up.
Well, and
at least I think USC's a step up from Penn State.
Absolutely.
When he went from Vanderbilt to Penn State to USC, I would say that's a pretty good step up. He seems like he's a really good recruiter, getting people to go to Happy Valley. He seems like a pretty cool guy. At least all the players that play for him like him. I don't know. He doesn't seem very USC-y as a person, but I don't know him as a person, so I couldn't tell you that. Just from the outside looking in, he doesn't seem like a USC LA, shake hands with Snoop Dogg and Jack Nicholson.
See, I think differently. I think from the outside looking in, he kind of has that swagger needed to be a USC coach. But maybe I have a weird feeling that when you get to know him, you're like, all right, man, this dude doesn't have it.
This dude's a nerd.
I think so. And and I guess the other choice that I kind of have, and this one name's been floating around, is Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, which USC is the only college job that I see him taking. USC is in the head coaching job, yes, because he's had chances to be a coach in the NFL and stuff.
Well, I mean, he's had chances, but he hasn't had chances. He's had interviews, and then idiotic teams decided to go in different directions.
Yeah. So, but like Rico, USC is a top 3 gig in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
DPJ and I were talking about this a couple days ago. Right. Well, it was Tuesday or Monday, right when the opening made news, and it was like, it is easy to recruit there. Like we were talking before the show,
it's easy to recruit to USC, but like it seems like the fan support for USC isn't very, like it was back in like the mid 2000s, like 2004, 2005, when Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, and all them were there. Like the fan support was wild.
Yeah.
Like everybody wanted to go to USC game. It was a hot ticket. But lately, as the years have gone on, I know they've had down years. They've had bad years for USC. As the years have gone on, it seems as if, the other sporting franchises in LA, and just the fact that it's LA, have kind of taken off, and not many people want to go to a USC game. I mean, UCLA plays in the Rose Bowl, like one of the best.
Yeah, but UCLA
and UCLA's had some decent years.
Yeah, but UCLA is not a football school. Like they're just not they don't get fan support like USC does. USC
has all the stars because they have the film school. But.
Exactly. Well, USC, I mean, you have Snoop Dogg, like you said, and you get to play in the Coliseum, which is a pretty cool venue as well. But also, like Clay Helton didn't leave this program in a bad spot, in my opinion.
I mean, they have great recruits. They still get 5 stars regularly. They still get people from all around the country to go to USC, and California is a pretty darn fertile recruiting ground. So it's not like you're running out. It's not like you can't build a great recruiting class just out of California guys or just kids off the West Coast. Like it's not impossible.
And you and I were talking before we went on the air is with Bieniemy, you brought up the question of whether or not he want to recruit. Like if they decide to keep Dante Williams as on the staff there at USC, which if you would imagine that they would try.
I think that's why they made this move so early, is just to keep the recruiting class and show whoever they're going to bring in as the next head coach, like keep this guy. He's a great recruiter, also a great defensive backs coach. Like you can use him to help you get along here.
Well, and I didn't really notice, and I wasn't necessarily paying attention.
I forgot he was at USC.
I wasn't really paying attention to what Dante Williams was doing, but I didn't realize that he got promoted to associate head coach in December of last year, and he's climbing the ranks quite a bit in the college football world.
Maybe they just hire him as the head coach.
It would be a USC thing to do. They don't do usually what is the easy thing. They don't usually.
But what is the like? I heard you and Jay and DP talking about, USC doesn't really hire guys that are US. Like, what makes a guy a USC coach? Like, who out of all the coaches that they've had, the last couple of coaches they've had, who has been a USC coach? Like, who's been the guy that you're like, oh, this guy fits this system?
That's
and I know that they said, Pete Carroll, because, he
Well,
schmoozes and everything
yeah.
like that. But I mean, he left because he was had some sanctions against him and went to the NFL. But like, who out of all the coaches that have been mentioned in the coaching searches, Luke Fickell, James Franklin, Urban Meyer probably is the most USC, but he is just a head coach anywhere. Like, you put Urban Meyer anywhere and it works.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Luke Fickell. We got that off the text line here, 402-464-5685. Wouldn't be surprised if Luke Fickell doesn't go to USC, they say. My whole thought on Luke Fickell is he just doesn't seem like the guy to be at USC. Like, I don't see him on the sideline. I don't know. Maybe it's just the perception that I mean,
that's what people said about Mick Cronin going to UCLA to be their head coach in basketball. They're like, Mick Cronin's too hard-nosed. There's no way he doesn't fit UCLA. It's more, free-flowing, fancy offense, and he went there, and what they do, they went to the NCAA tournament and almost made the Final Four. Or they did make the Final Four. One of those is true.
And maybe they want to go the route of a Power 5 coach that's worked out.
Cincinnati's a Power 5 school.
I'm going with them still in the American. I mean, maybe they've seen the track record of guys going from Group of 5 schools to Power 5. It's not fantastic.
It's not great.
I mean, you can look at PJ Fleck, and he had one good season there after Western Michigan, which, you can look at that however you want. But I'm just interested
I would
to see what happens
James
there.
Franklin went from a group. I know it was a Power 5, but he went from a Group of 5 school.
But he's done well at Power 5.
Vanderbilt.
He's done well at Power 5, though.
That's
why
he's still established. I think he'd be a good fit.
Yeah. So, all right, back to Nebraska. Ed says this on the text line actually first. I wish they would go after PJ Fleck. Would PJ Fleck would be a schmoozer?
PJ Fleck would be so weird on the USC sideline. Like,
imagine Snoop standing next to PJ Fleck.
Like, can you imagine PJ Fleck trying to row the boat in Southern California?
And
like,
Snoop's just
doing?
over there like, nah, man.
What are you doing, man? Like, he's super high. Like, I mean, it could work. His players love him. He's a pretty good recruiter. You don't have to be that good of a recruiter to recruit to USC.
Exactly.
So if you're a good recruiter, that helps you even more.
Yeah.
How many times can I say recruit?
Recruit. Yeah, no, that's a very good interest. That's a very good thought. Is PJ Fleck to USC? That would just be a weird combination.
It would be a weird energy. Like, USC has its own energy, and PJ Fleck energy, USC energy feel like they would clash. But I would be interested.
I feel like Minnesota's a good fit right now for PJ Fleck.
I think Minnesota's the only fit.
PJ needs to get some more years under his belt, calm down, simmer down a little bit.
PJ Fleck is not a name brand university head coach. He is
that's a good take.
Not smaller school, but what people call the sleeping giants. He's one of those head coaches.
Yeah, where they can have a season of decent success.
Yeah, he's a sleeping giant university head coach. He's not a brand name head coach.
That's a very good take.
If you put PJ Fleck at Ohio State, Michigan, Nebraska, Alabama, like, it wouldn't work.
Good
I
point.
mean, it probably would, but it would be weird.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. All right, 402-464-5685. Text us in who you think is going to be the next head coach at USC. All right, let's go back to this rivalry with Nebraska. And this might ruffle some feathers here, but I'm going to say my take on it with history.
All right, be ready for the young boys' take.
Yeah, with history, and if I were to tell Jay and DP this, I'd probably get,
blasted, lambasted,
upended, and
thrown out of the studio,
fired, and which is good because they're at Tanner's, by the way, today.
They'd figure out a way to run the board themselves.
Yes. So here's my whole thought is like.
Sorry.
I know. I saw that text too, so we're gonna get to that here shortly.
Unnamed texter, no.
Okay, we have to pause. Unnamed texter asks us this: do you think Frost will use the USC job as leverage to get a raise?
USC is not offering Scott Frost the job.
I wish it was that situation because Nebraska would match it because that would mean that Scott Frost is having success in Nebraska.
I want universities to try and poach your head coach because that means you're doing well. USC is not offering Scott Frost the job. If he beats Oklahoma, maybe.
No. Nebraska, Scott Frost to be in the running for USC. Here's a hypothetical. If Nebraska won out and finished 11-1 with wins over Oklahoma, Ohio State, would he be considered? Not on the hot seat to get fired, but the hot seat to get taken.
To get poached?
Yes.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think people would do kind of what's happening with PJ Fleck now, where they're like, it was just a fluke season. Just happened.
What if
won't happen again? Paul Feinbaum on ESPN or SEC Network or whatever said that he doesn't see Nebraska having another winning season, let alone a national championship ever again. So if that tells you how at least the southern states feel about Nebraska, since, he speaks for the South.
Good point.
Or at least Alabama.
Yeah, he does not speak for anybody else. He is not a guy. All right. So
back to how you feel about the rivalry.
Back to how I feel about just Nebraska history and all that in general. This game, Nebraska is more concerned, and you were asking, we were asking the players this earlier this week, and if we need to pull out the clips, we can, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Nebraska is more concerned, the players is more concerned with the fact that they're playing a top 5 team rather than it's Nebraska versus Oklahoma. And I think that's okay.
That's fine. Look, one of the oldest players on this team outside of, Damian Jackson, who is 27, 20, something like that. He's like my age. He would kind of know about.
He's Happer's age. We had this discussion.
Oh yeah, he's Happer's age. He's 28. He's 28.
Okay,
yeah,
28. We had this discussion.
28, 29, one of those two.
Okay.
He would maybe know a little bit of it, depending on if he remembers how far back he remembers in his childhood. But the next oldest player on this team, I think I was looking it up. I was thinking it was JoJo Domann, since he's like a 6th-year super senior.
You would expect that.
He was born in 97.
Yeah, I just think
like Nebraska didn't play Oklahoma every single year since I don't know the exact year, but they haven't played Oklahoma every single year for quite some time, and they've been in the Big Ten for a decent amount of time. So the players on this team don't know about the Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, because they weren't alive, and Nebraska hasn't been that great the last couple of years. Oklahoma's been great, but they haven't played each other, so there's been no reason to talk about it. Aside from, the older generation saying how much they miss the Big 12 because of the old rivalries with Colorado and Oklahoma and Texas and everything, the younger generation is just like, yeah, I mean, you guys have told us about that. Unless you're a fan of history, like Adrian Martinez said he is, and he's gone back and he's looked at things. And Garrett Nelson, I know for a fact, since he said he fell asleep watching, old Nebraska videos from the 90s. These younger players, and I mean younger, including myself, like this younger generation, we don't have the same memories as the older generation when it comes to the Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry, because when Nebraska and Oklahoma were playing since we've been alive, or at least since we've been alive and remembering sports, it really hasn't been a rivalry. It's kind of been one side. Like Nebraska's beaten Oklahoma a couple of times, but it's been kind of one-sided. Like Oklahoma's been a national championship perennial, top 10, top 5 team since we've been alive, and Nebraska had a couple runs, but for the longest part of my life has not been a top 10 team.
Well, and I was, and this is a really good text here. Richie Rich off the text line 402-464-5685 sends, we don't miss the Big 12, we miss the Big 8.
I don't even know the Big 8.
That's exactly kind of my point is, and
I know the Big 8.
I'm not saying this to say that Nebraska players aren't aware of what's going on, but I can tell you that, and maybe this is not the best thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because, it is what it is. There's a lot of people going to this game because it's Nebraska versus a top 5 school and it's within driving distance, and not because it's Nebraska, Oklahoma.
I can see a lot of students doing that.
Like, I know even not students, like guys, people that were just out of college, like the younger, under 30 years old, going to this because, but then, it's going
to be a great game. But you've got Nebraska playing Oklahoma as a number 3 team in the nation.
But on the flip side of that, you also, like me personally, and there's a lot of students and just younger people out there that do understand that there is a rivalry, but they don't truly understand it, if that makes sense. They're aware of there being a rivalry and that there was bad blood in recent years, but like this year, it doesn't feel like there's bad blood. Like, it doesn't feel like it feels like people are trying to make it have bad blood, but there's not.
It's like people our age and a little bit older. We like you said, we understand there's a rivalry. We've been told about it. We've gone back. It's a great thing. YouTube is a thing. We've gone back. We've looked at the videos. We've heard the famous calls. We know the players. We know all of that, but we don't get it the same way as people. I would say like 30, 36 and older, 35 and older. I mean, I don't know the exact age, but just older than us. They understand. They know how much this game means to Nebraska and to Oklahoma, and the vitriol between these teams. But for us, this is a top 5 matchup, and this is a top 5 matchup for Nebraska, and this is going to be a great, hopefully it's going to be a great game. Mm-hmm. And I know of the feelings of hatred and anger towards each other, and also the mutual respect that everybody says that they have. But it's just a top 5 game, and I'm excited for it. And I understand there's a rivalry, but I'm not gonna go out there and pretend to hate Oklahoma. I don't hate Oklahoma. I don't like Oklahoma, but I don't hate them.
Yeah, and I get this on the text line. He goes, bad take. In response to what I was saying, listen, if you're a history guy, then yeah, even if you are 23 years old or 27 years old, then if you're a history buff, then there you go. Yeah, I understand that you feel like there is as added passion to this game, and that you're reliving the rivalry and stuff like that. And obviously it's going to be really, really cool. Like I've said multiple times, I'm going down there. I know there's going to be 50-year anniversary of the game of the century merchandise, and I'm going to buy a t-shirt because I understand it. Mm-hmm. But I don't want that to cloud in the way of the idea that these Husker athletes very well could just think that it's a top 5 game, because I feel like a lot of people are in that boat.
Wet Blanket says, unless Keith Jackson broke your heart, it is okay if OU is just a top 5 team. If this were any other top 5 team, I would be not the same as excited, because there's, I understand the rivalry for this one.
Yeah.
But I would be extremely excited. So it's to me, it's a top 5 game against a rival that I've never really had a rivalry with.
Yeah, we get this. I'm 34 and a diehard fan my entire life, and even at 34, I never really experienced the rivalry.
I wish I would have. I've heard stories. It sounds fantastic to hate somebody this much.
Well, and
it sounds great. It's like the Colorado one. Like it sounds great to hate somebody this much, mm-hmm. and to have such angst and anger towards them, because like that's what you want out of a rivalry. But I don't like, in my time, there's never really been one. I mean, Texas was the closest, mm-hmm. but there hasn't really been the Oklahoma or the Colorado hate that everybody else has, that the older generations experienced.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I will wrap it up and get to Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity here. Going back to that text about being a diehard fan, being 34 years old and not really experiencing the rivalry, and that's okay. That is perfectly okay. And that's kind of my point in this, is that this can still have a sense of, I hate using the term bad blood, but there can be a sense of just annoyance with Oklahoma. And it is okay that it's not a full-blown rivalry. And mm-hmm. let me put this in perspective from my point of view. And you guys know how young I am. I was born in 2001. My games that I remember playing against Oklahoma, there's 2 that stick out. It's 2009, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Memorial Stadium. Nebraska won 10-3. Prince Amukamara picked off a ball from Landry Jones. The other one, Big 12 championship. Nebraska hopped out to a big lead in the first half, came out flat in the second half, lost the Big 12 championship after, and I believe that was in 2010. And so those are the ones that I kind of think about. And I understand that I have a smaller sample size, but I just want to let you guys know that this is where I'm coming from. Rico, you guys know where Rico's coming from. It's okay that this doesn't have the intense rivalry anger like it does for some people. Mm-hmm. It's awesome that if you were one of those people that got to live in that rivalry era.
Jealous.
Yes,
I'm jealous.
Extremely. Especially with, when you put it in perspective with Nebraska, Colorado, Oklahoma, all those teams. But just understand that for some people, it's not as big of a rivalry. It's more of a top 5 game between Nebraska and Oklahoma, and it's a huge opportunity.
I just need more rivalry stories. I need more stories of why I should hate Oklahoma. And somebody says, were you guys excited for the Miami rivalry? I was excited for the Miami game because it was Miami.
I was excited for the Miami game.
Another thing that I understood, one of my earliest memories is 2001 national championship, which not great, but I kind of vaguely remember that game. So, don't really like Miami because they destroyed Nebraska, but to me, it wasn't, the rivalry was just the fact that Miami was coming up to Nebraska, and it was awesome to see Miami.
Yeah, and with Brad Kaya and Duke Johnson, it was like, all right, these dudes, we get to see these guys play on national TV every night or every weekend, and now we get to see them play in person.
Yep.
So, all right, let's go ahead and take a break. Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity joins us next on the Happy Hour.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here. In 2013, I first came across Koppel Chevrolet GMC in Louisville, and I've been a customer ever since. What's kept me coming back to Koppel is the people. Oftentimes, owner Bob Koppel and his son Brandon are right there with you in the showroom, walking you through the process. There's no runaround at Koppel. It's a hardworking Nebraska company built on honest, small-town values. So make that short drive to Louisville or visit them online at koppelcars.com.
93.7 The Ticket is hiring. We're looking for a highly confident, driven, and energetic individual to join our team as a sales executive. You can begin your exciting career in sports radio at a locally owned independent station and work closely with our crew of on-air personalities. If you enjoy meeting new people and working with them to solve their marketing needs, this could be the job for you. Head to theticketfm.com for the complete job description and instructions on how you can apply. 93.7 The Ticket and BDP Communications is an equal opportunity employer.
Beat the heat and save on a new cooling system from John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Combine new system rebates and LES incentives to save up to $2,500. Don't wait until your old system breaks down in the middle of summer. Take advantage of these great offers and beat the heat. Go to jhlincoln.com or give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
When you choose new flooring, you don't want to wait for weeks or months to enjoy it. You want it installed right away. Hi, Steve Carper from O Street Carpet. We hear stories every day about long waits and installation charges way higher than necessary. When you choose O Street Carpet, we'll measure free, install right away, and at a much better price. Stop in, shop now. Proud to be Lincoln's choice for nearly 50 years.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street and ostreetcarpet.com.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
Another packed fall sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Right now, they have tons of Oktoberfest beers, and you can check out their new Empyrean, New Belgium, and Prost selections as their beers of the month. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch Crowler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage shop at 1801 Oak Street.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back here on the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Nick Sainer, Enrique Alvarez Clary with you. I want to get to this text here really quick before we get to Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity. Beansky on the text line says, when we were talking about the rivalries, leaving the Big 12 to me was kind of the end of a rivalry. Rival teams play each other often, and Nebraska and Oklahoma do not play each other enough. That's Beansky off the text line. On the Honda of Lincoln hotline today, we are joined, as we will every Wednesday, by Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity. Aaron, how's it going?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right, let's start with this before we talk about either volleyball or football. Nebraska announced today, their athletic department announced that they're partnering with the Brandar Group. Explain to those that might not know what the added benefit of being able for athletes to use the Nebraska brand? How can that benefit their personal brand growth?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, for anyone who might be interested in a particular video game or the evolution of any video game, some people have been saying, why not an NCAA volleyball game? And I'm all for it. This allows those type of partnerships to happen. It's really going to be about group branding, and that, as we sort of walk into the NIL era, a lot of concerns surrounded what happens if a player uses a photo or wants to participate in something that requires the university's branding. And this is going to help make that process easier, because before, they could work with the university, get clearance, basically ask to be able to do things, but working on a group licensing agreement, and the Brandar Group has done this with others. This just simplifies the process for everyone and just makes it easier for the athletes to just take that next step forward. So really, for anyone who's like wondering, what does this mean? It's really, you could see it as maybe potentially jersey sales. That's another thing that you've seen elsewhere, but they were very intentional by including that game controller in the tweet, because they knew people would latch onto that. And that's going to be something that I think people will be pretty excited about as the future of potentially playing as your favorite college players, and whatever games that might take, whatever shape that might take in the future. That's going to be possible now, thanks to a deal like this.
Now, let's move on to Husker Volleyball. They've hit a kind of a speed bump in their schedule, with 2 losses coming against Utah and then Stanford last night on the road. Obviously, they're playing a lot of younger players. What can they learn, like with a young group like this that are getting a lot of experience, like Allie Batenhorst and Laustein and those kind of players? What can those younger players gain from the losses, if that makes sense?
Oh, absolutely. When I saw that Cook was putting, he was going to start multiple freshmen against Stanford and put, I saw the uproar. There was a lot of people who were upset that Lexi Sun was mostly on the bench outside of just helping with serving. But John Cook had said he needs to see more from Lexi. He needs to see more from Maddie. He'd like to see both of them step up further. And if you're in a situation where you need those veterans to step up, but you also need your younger players to grow, that Stanford match on the road is that perfect time. It might feel like, well, why do you want to potentially? I don't think he went into that looking for a loss. Like, I think I've seen some people who are like, well, why would you want a loss? But that was a great learning opportunity. This is something where you've now built foundation, playing time for these freshmen. They got exposed to real big time volleyball very quickly. And, when you're looking at conference play and then hopefully into a run at a national title, that experience will come back and help you. So, I think that playing time was valuable, even if, Nebraska is looking at back-to-back losses right now. They're not going to keep piling up those losses. This team is too good for that to happen, but the experience is going to be valuable.
Well, and that's what I was trying to say earlier and I was trying to tell some people is that despite Nebraska, they got Lexi Sun and Lauren Stivrins back, who's not playing quite yet. They still need to grow their program, and they need those younger players, even with the number 1 recruiting class in the country. They need to get them experience, because at some point, Lexi Sun and Lauren Stivrins aren't going to be there, basically.
Yeah, it's this recruiting class is the number 1 recruiting class for a reason, but they have to get that experience. Otherwise, you don't want the first time you're throwing them out there to be in a situation where, say, it's because, God forbid, somebody gets injured, and then that's the first time they're able to go in and play. You would ideally like them to feel comfortable, be ready. Cook likes to experiment with his lineups as well. That's important to note. He is an experimentation kind of person. He's constantly tinkering with things, trying new things, and he likes to utilize, especially these non-conference games, as an opportunity to learn what he has with his team. So I don't expect to see a whole lot of trial and error when Nebraska gets into Big Ten play. But right now, when you're in this non-conference stretch playing some really, really good ranked non-conference opponents, there's really no reason not to get creative and to have, to play with your lineup. There's really no reason not to.
We're talking to Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity. Aaron, this next game against number 5 Louisville, Nebraska's 4th game against a top 20 opponent in a row. I know he probably hasn't looked ahead, but did you sense any sort of excitement from John Cook about playing one of his former players in Danny Busboom Kelly, who's coaching Louisville?
Oh, he's always so excited to see former players go on and succeed and to keep growing. And I'm sure we'll hear more about it as we get into the preview for the week. I believe that they'll have a game preview tomorrow, being Thursday. And so we'll probably hear more from Coach Cook at that point when he's looking ahead to it. But, he always approaches them as very much they're still an opponent. I'm still here for my team to beat your team. But I think the great thing about John Cook is he is just a volleyball supporter. So to see his former players going on and continuing to grow the sport and make it better, he is a big advocate of that, and he sings their praises. So it's got to be a fun thing for him to keep seeing people grow and excel in their areas, because that's what a good coach is. They don't just keep everything for themselves. They train the next group of people, and that's John Cook.
Aaron Sorensen of Hale Varsity is our guest here on the Happy Hour. Let's go ahead and transition to the football field, because Nebraska has a pretty big game this Saturday morning. We've been hearing all week, and from the staff especially, that Nebraska is going to really have to keep up with Oklahoma's speed. Is there anything else that kind of jumps out at you on your initial look that Nebraska is going to have to do extremely well if they want to compete on Saturday?
Yeah, that's speed. I mean, that is something, I think there's a reason that we've heard a lot about that. I actually asked Travis Fisher, and I appreciated his answer about speed is speed, but it was also like, yes, their skill position players are fast, but I also think that we're fast. Like, I thought that's a really great line. That's what you want to hear from a coach. I think, and this is a little like hard to quantify this, but I think Nebraska, to hang with Oklahoma, not only has to walk in there and play one of its, and I want to be clear in how I just said that. I did not say to go in there and win or anything else. I'm just saying to hang with Oklahoma and to exchange punches with Oklahoma. You have to walk in there with a certain level of attitude that you belong in that game. And it's not about just saying it throughout the week. It's about walking in and being exactly what you said that you have to, having an attitude, having a chip on your shoulder that's not just a said chip, an actual, we're playing with that chip on our shoulder. And I think sometimes Nebraska's attitude, you hear this one thing throughout the week, and then when you get to game day, that attitude doesn't sometimes always match what you're seeing. I think they have to bring what we've heard of, this is a big game, a big opportunity. Absolutely. Bring that attitude to Saturday. When the going gets tough, which Oklahoma is the number 3 team in this country for a reason. Spencer Rattler is a Heisman contender. He's on that short list for a reason. You can't get down. You have to keep an attitude of, we belong here. And like I said, that's kind of hard to quantify, but it's something, in my opinion, like Nebraska's got to just start having a bit of an attitude when it walks into games like this, that we belong here. So yeah, you say speed is speed, but we're fast too. Be about it on Saturday. Like you gotta walk in there and not only say it, but 100% believe it.
We've been talking about these last couple of days that we believe that Nebraska, their best chance to win probably be to keep Oklahoma's offense off the field and to commit to the running game, like they said before the season started. Do you sense anything from the players or from the coaches this week that they might be trying to pound the rock more against Oklahoma as opposed to airing it out and trying to go blow for blow with this Sooners offense?
Yeah, I think you have to run the ball. I mean, this is Big 12 football, or at least Big 12 football for now until it ends up in the SEC. But, Oklahoma has like several sacks so far this season. This is a team that, has a really good edge rusher. Like you're not going to be able to just rely on Adrian Martinez scrambling. You're not just going to rely on, you're gonna have to spread this defense out, but you're also gonna have to really run it at them. It's also going to be really warm again, just like Illinois in this last week. So when you have sort of these conditions presenting themselves, there's that offensive line. Nebraska's offensive line has to give Nebraska the ability to run this ball, because Illinois was the one who said it. If you can target Adrian Martinez and sort of take him out of the equation, things get very difficult for Nebraska. Oklahoma is going to play that kind of ball game too. If you target Adrian Martinez and take him out, what can Nebraska do at that point? That's where the running game comes into play. If they know there are other players like Marquise Stepp or Gabe Irvin Jr. who can run that ball and run it effectively behind an offensive line that's giving them the chance to do it, that will make it harder on Oklahoma. But if they can't run the ball and it's really up to Adrian to find his receivers, especially without knowing which receivers will be available against Oklahoma, but also with him maybe potentially having to scramble, Oklahoma is going to target that all day long. And you can't win a ball game that way.
One more before we let you go. Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity is our guest. Since it is kind of a guessing game, outside of Adrian Martinez on Saturday afternoon when the game is over, who leads Nebraska in carries?
Oh gosh. You said aside from
outside of Adrian Martinez.
I'm going to go with Stepp.
Okay.
He's been impressing me. He just feels like one of those players that when you see him run, he fights for those extra yards. And that's not to say that Gabe Irvin Jr. is not that guy or Savion Morrison is not that guy, but I've just been really impressed with Marquise Stepp. So I'll give it to him, and because I picked him, it'll absolutely be one of the other two. So.
I agree with you in that boat. That's Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity. Aaron, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That is Aaron Sorensen of Hail Varsity. Good stuff from her. We'll talk to her every Wednesday at 2:30. Let's go ahead and take one final timeout. We'll wrap things up next on Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Everyone loves a good deal, and there's plenty of great options right now at Brown Shoe Fit for their summer clearance sale. Check out their multiple sizes and widths and sandals with brands like Clark's, Keen, Atrex, and many more. Hurry in for the best selection because this sale only goes to the end of the month. It's the summer clearance sale at Brown Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hey, it's Sean Callahan, and football season is here, and there is one place that has all the games, plus great food and beer specials. Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill. Whether it's Thursday night football, college football Saturdays, NFL Sundays, or Monday night football, there's a great view of the game from any seat with different food and drink specials every night. Try the Blue Ribbon Reuben Sandwich or the Prime Rib French Dip or any of their famous chicken wings. That's Tanner's Bar and Grill at 30th and Yankee Hill.
Want to get a hot and perfect body fast? It's so easy. All you have to do is eat lots of bananas, but peels only, and always be sweating, but never look sweaty. That's disgusting.
Don't follow extreme routines. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness. Now through September 16th, join for just $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime, and get back to a real routine with tons of equipment and free fitness training in our clean and spacious clubs. Join today for $1 down, $10 a month, and cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends September 16th. See Club for details.
No doubt about it, a water softener saves you money. Don't have one? Call the plumbers at Bryant. Just one call and no arm-twisting contracts. For a free estimate, call 467-1111 or go to BryantLincoln.com.
Liberty First Credit Union is here to help you save time and money. Get a consolidation loan and conveniently combine all of your loans into one, leaving you with one fixed payment and one low-rate loan. Not a member? That's okay. Join Liberty First Credit Union at any of the 4 Lincoln locations, Seward, and in Omaha at 108th and L Street. Start saving with Liberty First Credit Union. Apply for a consolidation loan now at libertyfirstcu.com today. Approval required. Equal opportunity lender. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Have you been to Barn Wood and Leather, that new furniture store in Lincoln? It's a whole new look. If you like country, you'll love Barn Wood and Leather. It's country with a kick. Rustic, yet contemporary. Handcrafted in America from historic reclaimed barnwood and the finest leather. Create your own one-of-a-kind look for a room or your whole home. Come see for yourself at Barn Wood and Leather, South 14th and Dahlberg. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
You can search online for hours to find the best electricians in Lincoln and the surrounding area, but I'll save you time. High Electric has been serving their customers for 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They're experts in everything electrical, from remodeling to new additions, hot tub installations, electric vehicle chargers or EV chargers, lighting, ceiling fans, and more. High Electric takes jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at highelectric.com.
Now back to the happy hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I don't have access to the stream, but Rico said something during the break about somebody's comments saying, "Here comes the Rico." Because everybody knows that at 2:50, the start of the final segment, it's Shout Out Industry, baby. And Rico does his dance in the chair. So
always.
We'll throw your comment up there. As always, 402-464-5685. Honda of Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line, Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream. After we're done here in about 5 or 10 minutes or so, join DP and Sean Callahan at Tanner's starting at 3 p.m. And then Sean Callahan from Husker Online will be out there with him. And then at 4 p.m., the Husker Hall of Famer Jay Foreman will be joining him. We'll get a daily dose of Nick or Not in there. And so
are they going to have you rap, or are they going to have you?
Probably not rap. They'll probably have me guess a song or guess something. Guess a movie quote, which I am really, really bad at. So I was telling Happer,
dude, DP watches movies that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, in my DP's defense, though, I have no idea about movies in general. Which, speaking of movies, we have about 5 minutes left here. I was telling Happer how I watched Hangover 1 over the weekend.
Like for the first time, or
in its entirety, I watched it for the first time. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I just don't watch movies a ton. I was watching it with some buddies, and we wanted a comedy, so we were like, yeah, let's turn on The Hangover. And it made me realize
that you needed to go to Vegas.
How bad I want to go to Vegas when I turn 21.
Dude, I've never been to Vegas, and I really want to go. And everybody always talks about how great it is. Like, oh, I went my first time in Vegas. I went when I was like 22, and I was like, I'm 27.
Yeah, no. So this is actually what was happening about noon today. Is Happer and I and Rico was bouncing in and out. Yeah, Happer was trying to tell me how we need to go to Vegas next spring.
Yes,
and he gets all these free hotels, and because he comped hotels, and he's telling me where to stay.
I mean, you turn 21 next year.
Yeah, in February. So we got a couple months. Got some months to save up.
We have to go before March Madness, so it's not completely packed.
So yeah, we'll
just say
see.
It's a company trip.
I'm not sure DP would allow that.
Company trip. We're gonna go down there, and we're gonna find some athletes partying it up in Vegas.
We could see Tate Martell.
Maybe get some new guests.
It's Tate Martell.
Hang out with Tate Martell.
Tathan. So
see what Emmett's doing. We go stay with Emmett. Dude, we don't even need a hotel. We can go stay with Emmett.
We can stay with Emmett.
Well, we have to ask him first, obviously, but I'm pretty sure he'll say yes. Emmett loves us.
I wonder if Emmett still listens to the show. I was jealous of Emmett this last week. He got to go to the Raiders-Ravens game on Monday. Lucky man.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great stadium.
Yeah, great game, better stadium. So we'll see what happens when next spring. It's going to be a very interesting couple months. Late February, early March. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But I can guarantee you guys one thing: you'll be along for the ride. So just get ready.
We'll live stream it from somebody's phone.
Dude,
if I go with you, I'm going to Instagram live the whole thing. Unless you're like, here's Nick's first trip to Vegas.
Probably
also
not.
mine, but nobody cares. They just want Nick.
Probably not the best.
Isaac
idea.
Fox with the shout out to Aaron on YouTube. Aaron is awesome. Yes, she is.
Yeah, no, and I'm really excited. Rico and I were talking during the break. We're super excited that we're going to be able to have her on every week because she has a lot of really good insight, really good articles. If you don't read them already, check them out on Hail Varsity. She is very, very thorough, very, very good. Make sure you are checking out her work. And
follow her on Twitter at Aaron Sorensen.
Yeah, you'll be able to hear her every Wednesday once again at 2:30, breaking down the Huskers, whichever sport is going on. So yeah, thanks again to her for joining us for a couple minutes. All right,
I wanted to ask her about how she felt about the rivalry, but I didn't get to that. I don't know why.
Let's get to some of the other texts here. Going back to our previous conversation about the rivalry, since we have about a minute and a half left. Richie Rich says, I don't hate Oklahoma. I hate Texas. Imagine if we stopped playing Iowa and the rest of the Big Ten. Is there a current team that we play now that is our rival, but after a few years you would respect and miss them? It's a weird deal with Oklahoma. I don't know if I would respect or miss Iowa.
I think Wisconsin.
Which is so weird because
people say they hate Wisconsin, but at the same time, everybody wants to play like Wisconsin. And they're like, why can't we just do what Wisconsin does?
Which it's so weird because the margin of victory between Nebraska and Wisconsin is much wider than it is with Iowa. And there's obviously that hate with Iowa. I think there is a hate with Iowa, though.
See, but I don't think there's any type of mutual respect with Iowa. I think it's just hate. Like, everybody loves, the Iowa wave to the Children's Museum. Everybody loves that. But outside of that, nobody in Nebraska, they don't like Iowa. Nobody likes Iowa.
I don't think they respect him at all. So make sure you join us tomorrow at 2 o'clock. At 2:30, we will have Chris Plank from the Sooners Radio Network on with us, breaking down the Husker-Oklahoma game. It's going to be an exciting couple of days here. We're going to get in our final thoughts on Saturday's matchup, and I'm super excited for it. I don't want that to be missed in what I was saying earlier about the rivalry. I'm super excited for this game. I'm excited to see how Nebraska competes. One of my professors said this morning, expectation is Nebraska. There's no expectation. If Nebraska loses, okay. If they win, I'm happy as hell. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Adios.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather.